Within Light and Glow, I didn't want it to be just another candle brand. I wanted to have collections that were there for everyone. With yoga studios, yogis, to create sense about relaxation, meditation, and then feeling energized, and that's really where that came about. And each of our collections within Light and Glow has a purpose behind it and a story behind it. When we first started the business, it was just a $237 investment. We really wanted to niche down, find out how we can move this business and do something. And with a growing family, a young child already, Darren, my eldest, was 4 years old, another one on the way, felt that something had to change. But what I didn't realise was business was on the horizon, but I did love the idea of scents. And as the business started to grow, I left my job and stepped into business and really started to tap into that creative side.
So we were looking how we can use our science knowledge or the medical clinical knowledge back into the scent marketing. And that's where we know that the scent has power to bring the memory back and also create the emotion. So we were looking different scent, how we can create different emotions and feeling. And that's how we started the brand Scent.
So with Light and Glow, there's two parts of the business. There's the online consumer, but more importantly, our wholesale business is extremely important, and managing that data is extremely important. So when we're operating off Excel spreadsheets and Word documents, there was almost what we're hitting a brick wall. We were making a lot of mistakes. It was infuriating customers. It was frustrating for us. And when we're frustrated, we don't operate to 100%. So we wanted a process and a system that increased efficiency, thereby allowed us to manage our time well, and therefore sales increased and we could really focus.
And then we did a course, coaching session, and they were talking about CRM, how important it is for a business to grow the business. And we started using Zoho CRM because we did some research and we found that CRM giving us the results straight away. And then I've been to the Zoholic and I heard about Zoho One and how it can give more value to the business, and I started using Zoho One. And from Zoho One, it's made even more easier because it's all connected in one place, and you pretty much have to come in the morning and open, and you can have your manager view. Everything is there.
And it was really about time management, making things easy for us, and also having everything in that one place. And then there's the tasks that pop up as soon as you open the dashboard. It's there saying that we've got to call customer X, customer Y today to talk about the order, what they've received. And I also utilise Zoho within campaigns. So with Brand Scent, I run the campaigns for them, and it really works really well in terms of the customer data's there, and setting up Jiva sets up the flows, and I do the creative behind there.
So the CRM is quite important in our business. We use Gmail. Once you click, it's actually connecting whatever information on your email. It will automatically populate the name and email address, all the details. So in one click, you can actually add that into your CRM. And then as the directors, what we can do is we can manage and we can view the overall picture of our business. In Light and Glow, as a B2C business, we use Shopify for our e-commerce site. The Shopify and Zoho, they talk to each other seamlessly. So anyone place an order on Shopify, we can track them because the Zoho is automatically create an account and their details already comes into the CRM. So we can retarget them through the campaign down the track. Also, if we use inventory as well. So as a manufacturer, inventory is quite important for us. Anyone place an order, it's come as a purchase order, and we can turn it into the sales order. So Brand Scent, it's our second department, which is a corporate side of the business. So the corporate side is quite important. So when we go for a trade show or activation, we use the Zoho form and we can create the QR code. Through the QR code, you can connect to the Zoho form, and all the information what they enter is being stored, and that will be in your CRM. and then you can retarget them again through your campaign.
I guess as a small business starting up, and especially for someone who's not been in the realm of business, it's really difficult understanding the foundation of business, understanding cash flow, understanding all of those things at the same time as scaling a business was really difficult. In the first couple of years when Light and Glow, we were growing 150%, we were scaling exponentially. And the moment and that was just from events and doing so many things, but we were burnt out. So we were extending ourselves, working almost 20 hours a day. It was just madness. Then once again, as I mentioned, I was 36 weeks pregnant when the business started, so I had a newborn at the time and a younger child. So really time management was crucial. Controlling time. A lot of people say time is money, but time is something that you can't get back, you can't buy back. But the moment we implemented these management systems such as Zoho into our business, the efficiency increased. So we started to have more time to drive sales, to drive meaningful sales.
So one of the things is when we grow bigger, we wanted to make sure we spend less time looking for the leads and where they are at. So we capture the lead on a few different ways with the help of Zoho. One is we use the Zoho form, and then we have all the questions what we want on the form and create a QR code. So when we go for activations or trade shows, we give that QR code so they can enter the information what we wanted to capture, and that's going to go into the CRM. And then the other way we look at it is if someone has visited our website, we can use the Zoho IQ, Sales IQ, and capture their details and also help them while they are on the website to communicate with them and see whether they need any help from us. And then the third one is we use the Zoho Social, so where social media is quite important for any business. And whoever coming into the social media platform, we wanted to see whether they are the right target audience for us and whether we can do business with them. And if they're interested, then we can get their leads and then feedback all of them into the CRM. So we can set it up such a way that it's actually populated for us, and it shows that, okay, these are the ones who had a transaction with us in the past, and it is a time for us to go and have a chat to them and see whether they wanted to do something new.
So with Zoho itself, as directors, we're really time poor and we've got our fingers in many pies, and trying to keep ahead of things is extremely important. And for us, Zoho does exactly that. Everything's there, it's visible, and we're always getting constant reminders as to what needs to be done. And for me, that's so important. And Zoho just integrates with Shopify, and we use other platforms for payroll and things. And because of these add-on integration, it just meant that we don't have to change a lot. Zoho seemed to just slot into what we already have. And so for that reasons, we've been using Zoho for a number of years now.
So the Zoho One, I like the whole approach, how it's helping us to actually grow our business, because every time when we have a customer, it's quite important that we are actually tracking and we are talking to them and giving them information they want. So it's quite good to have a platform like that where you can run the whole business in one platform.
We've grown every year on year, 60%. But when I talk about return on investment with them, we're not only talking about revenue, I'm talking about time as well, because that's an investment. So we've grown in efficiency for ourselves, but then also staff. That then converts to revenue because we're saving staff time that they can focus on other elements in the business to grow. So Light and Glow, BrandScent combined has been growing steadily, and in the last couple of years, we've grown 60% year on year. And I would attest that to efficiency and processes, and Zoho has been instrumental in providing that.